for real good taste.
Smoother, milder, tastier, Old Gold cigarettes.
Chesterfield for me, Chesterfield for me. You just say it's Chesterfield for me.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
From an 8th Street down the pike, it's time right now for a Lucky Strike.
The number of people that die in this country every day from smoking is the same as if 2 jumbo jets crashed and not a single person walked away alive.
I can get cancer from the sun. I can get cancer from red meat. I can get cancer from almost anything that I enjoy.
You don't think about health risks while you're smoking. You kind of, I guess you kind of think of reasons, I could smoke a cigarette, no big deal. 1 or 2 won't kill me.
Question: what are the actual health risks of smoking?
If you smoke, the bottom line is bad news. If you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, on the average, you will die 6 years younger than will a non-smoker. If you smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, make that 8 years.
Fact: a smoker has 10 times the chance of getting lung cancer as a non-smoker. Fact: a smoker has twice the chance of heart disease as a non-smoker. Fact: if a smoker has heart disease, he has 3 times the chance of dying from it.
How do you go about deciding whether you have a risk or not? Well, like I said, you see people, and you've known people that have smoked forever, who are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and you see people who are never, have never smoked that were planted at 30 and 35.
I have a mother who is 78 years old, who smokes 2.5 packs a day, and she is very healthy, hasn't had a sick day in her life. And I think to myself, like mother, like daughter, if she got through it, I'll get through it.
Question: why don't all people who smoke die young?
The difficulty is when you start to smoke, you don't know whether you're going to be one of those that died at 38 from a heart attack or your grandmother who managed to make it through to 84. The difference is in our genes, and we don't know which ones are the good ones.
Fact: 1 out of 7 deaths in America is caused by smoking. Fact: smoking is the leading cause of preventable death in America.
There's people that have have lung cancer that never even smoked, and they have it.
Because they sat around you, Kathy, while you were smoking. No, they sat in a crowded bar with you.
Thank you.
It's true.
I know, that's what they said.
It's true. I tend more, and I breathe more cigarettes in a day than you do.
Question: is it true that other people's cigarette smoke is harmful to the non-smoker?
There have been enough studies done so that I could make this one generalization. If you're in a small room, so-called smoke-filled room, 1 hour in that room is equivalent to smoking 1 cigarette.
Fact: it is estimated that some 2,400 non-smokers a year will die from secondhand smoke.
When you change to Philip Morris, you'll feel better.
Did you say I'll feel better smoking Philip Morris?
Yes, you will feel better. And here are the reasons why. In case after case, coughs due to smoking disappear. Parched throat clears up. That stale, smoked-out feeling vanishes. The cigarette recommended by eminent nose and throat specialists to patients who smoke. The one cigarette proved definitely milder than any other leading brand. Whether you've been smoking for 10 months or 10 years, something wonderful happens. You'll feel better when you change to Philip Morris.
I'm angry at him because he did not quit when they told him to. Maybe if he had quit when they told him to, he would have another 5 years. I would give anything for another 5 years with Tom.
How's your weight doing?
It's going down, but I ain't eating.
What was it today?
170,
173.
173
and a quarter.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's about
I
191.
can't eat.
Do you have any shortness of breath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going up and down the stairs.
Uh-huh. Mr. Oven is a 57-year-old male who has a very significant history of smoking cigarettes. He has smoked from 3.5 to 4 packs of cigarettes per day for the last 40 years. Which is this one over here. This is your right lung, and this is a cancer in your right lung. It's a very serious cancer. It has spread from the original site, from the lung to the brain.
It really, really... I never dreamed it was that terrible.
It even turned white.
Even though I knew there was something wrong.
Well, hang on to the table.
I never dreamed it was cancer or that it was terminal.
You can cut out that last half a pack. I think that'd be great.
Well, I would too.
Yeah, I think you'll feel better.
I just wish I had the willpower just to take them and throw them away. But
And I got a garbage bag, and I threw every ashtray that I owned in this house. I broke them, I smashed them, metal ones, plastic, whatever there was, upstairs, downstairs, every room. I got in my car, drove to the drugstore, bought a great big no smoking sign and hung it on my door. And I told him, if you want to die, that's your business. But I don't want to. I told him, I said, you've cheated me. And I said, you still want to smoke? I know you can't quit. But I said, don't you ever smoke in this house again, and nobody else will. And he smokes in the garage.
people would say, well, you're going to die from it and stuff. And I thought, well, that don't mean me. That means somebody else. You know, you don't figure it's ever going to happen to you. And, well, I was wrong. It did happen to me.
What's that saying, Tom, is you'll get all the care that you need up to the point where your heart or your breathing stops, and then you will be allowed to die. I understand. I may...
You keep on over.
I, Tom Oven, request limited emergency care as herein described. I understand DNR means that if my heart stops beating or if I stop breathing, no medical treatment will be started or continued.
The oncologist told me, he said, eventually, he said, we'll put Tom on morphine. He said, that's the last thing we can do. And he said, we do it because he won't be able to stand the pain. But, he said, we won't give you morphine. He said, what do you do?
Then I get down in the dumps. Some days I'm up, and some days I'm down. Some days I feel sorry for myself, and then in another day I'll say, well, it's your own fault, you know. You did it to yourself. Nobody did it for you. And I call myself stupid, dumb, every name I can think of. I wish I could do it over again, but it's here now, and there's no way I can go back.
It's such a waste. And such a terrible way to have to die. And it's such a terrible thing to watch and to live with. It's got to be the most terrible thing I've ever gone through, or ever will go through, to watch somebody go like this.
One of the newest favorites, Paramount's Charlton Heston. Mr. Heston, what especially do you like about camels?
Well, I don't know anything about the scientific tests various cigarettes claim or any of the things they say they have. I just know I like the taste of camels. I find them very mild for me, too.
I smoke a light cigarette because I feel that by smoking a light cigarette, I'm cutting my risks down in half of getting lung cancer and cutting down the nicotine and tar.
Question: are low-tar cigarettes safer than regular cigarettes?
There is no such thing as a safe cigarette. There are some cigarettes that contain less nicotine than others, and other cigarettes that contain less tar than others. But the fascinating thing is that if you are used to smoking a cigarette which is high in tar, and you switch to a cigarette that is low in tar, you unconsciously and automatically change your smoking habit. You either puff more frequently, or you inhale more deeply, or you hold it in your lungs longer, or a combination of all three of those things, or you smoke more cigarettes. So when you say, I've switched to a safer cigarette, be sure you're not kidding yourself and just smoking more of a safer cigarette and getting absolutely the same blow to your health.
I definitely do believe it's healthier to smoke a cigar over a cigarette because of the fact that you're not inhaling it, and I don't smoke as often. I'm not smoking 2 or 3 packs a day like I was, and I enjoy a cigar much more. It gives me greater pleasure.
Question: is smoking a pipe or a cigar safer than smoking cigarettes?
I think a lot of people kid themselves into thinking it's safer to smoke a pipe or a cigar instead of a cigarette. It's true that they are not as dangerous as cigarettes, but the difficulty is that most people who smoke pipes and cigars who have been formerly cigarette smokers inhale the smoke, and that's pretty strong smoke. The other thing people don't realize is that cigar and pipe smoking has connected with it an increased incidence of cancer of the lip, of the tongue, of the floor of the mouth, and the throat. And those are not very nice cancers. So don't think that because you smoke a pipe or a cigar that you've gotten rid of the smoking problem. You really haven't.
I smoke only a few cigarettes a day, so the health risks concerned with that are not particularly worrisome to me. It doesn't keep me awake at night.
Question: is it safe to smoke just a few cigarettes a day?
It is true that the less you smoke, the lower is your risk. But when you're talking about risks of the magnitude that I've been talking about in reference to heart disease, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and cancer, it's just not worth taking the chance.
A lot of guys down in the Army that I'm stationed with have cut out smoking cigarettes and gone to chewing tobacco because the nicotine. You know, they crave the nicotine. So they've cut out cigarette smoking in fear that it might be worse for them.
Question: is it safer to chew tobacco than to smoke cigarettes?
Although it is true that chewing tobacco does not cause lung cancer, chewing tobacco does cause other cancers which are equally unpleasant, such as cancer of the gums and the tongue and the floor of the mouth. But the thing that's most important to me about chewing tobacco or moist snuff is that it contains nicotine. And after a while, people who chew tobacco realize that you can't spit tobacco juices in lots of places. And therefore, when they need a nicotine fix, they ask somebody to bum a cigarette. And they get their nicotine fix, but now they've been introduced to the worst of both worlds.
Fact: 1 in 4 teenage boys has used chewing tobacco. Fact: some chewing tobaccos contain more nicotine than cigarettes.
We'd just like to remind you that there is no smoking permitted in rows 1 to 7 and rows 13 to 33, and that smoking is not permitted in the aisles or lavatory. Thank you for your cooperation.
You think about that you've got 350 people on a 747 flying across the surface of the earth in a tin can, and it's a very confined space for a lot of people, and then the smoke stays within that very confined space.
We don't feel free. We feel very imposed upon.
And discriminated
against, yes, absolutely. Very much
like
so.
you're second or third class citizens, that you just, you can't smoke, you have a terrible vice, don't do it.
Well, our uniforms have a distinct odor to them, and we either call it Ode to Boeing or Ode to Lockheed, and what it is in reality is the odor of the smoke from the aircraft.
Question: is there a risk from secondhand smoke on airplanes?
The mere separation of smokers from non-smokers in the same room, and that's what an airplane is, does not protect the non-smoker from the hazards of cigarette smoke. And therefore, I would obviously favor the banning of cigarette smoking on all airplanes.
Fact: cigarette smoke contains more than 40 toxic and cancer-causing substances. Fact: cigarette smoke contains polonium, a radioactive element known to cause cancer.
Nothing but the best for Mr. Ricardo.
Thank you. Lucy, you're so good to me.
You see how easy it is to keep a man happy? Why not give your husband a carton of Philip Morris cigarettes?
Smart move.
I live with a fiance who smokes, and I believe that his smoke, which he exhales, it does affect me, and it is a health risk to me.
I've discussed it with him. Sometimes I even try saying things like, you smoking, but I'm being hurt also. So, I mean, if you're not stopping for yourself, at least try to stop for me.
Question. If you live with a smoker, are you at risk?
If your husband smokes 20 cigarettes a day and you are living, say, in an apartment with him for the usual amount of time that couples spend together, you could look forward to a 20% greater chance of getting cancer of the lung than if you live with a non-smoker.
As far as my children go, I try not to smoke in closed areas. You know, if I have them in the car and I'm going to have a cigarette, I open the window so the air, will clean it out. I try not to have them really on top of me when I'm smoking. I try to be considerate that way because you don't know if secondhand smoke is going to hurt them.
Question. Are children at risk from parents who smoke?
Parents should not smoke when they have young children in the home. We know that a child who is exposed to one parent who smokes has difficulties. If both parents smoke, those difficulties are greater, and they have more colds, more bronchitis, more bona fide diagnoses of pneumonia, and in general get a slower start in life.
Fact. Nicotine byproducts can be found in the saliva and urine of children whose parents smoke. Fact. Children of parents who smoke have a greater risk of decreased lung function.
I'm pregnant, and I try to quit smoking, but I find myself always reaching for a cigarette anyway, or in the store buying a pack, even though I keep telling myself I'm gonna quit for the baby's health.
Question. What happens to the fetus if a pregnant woman smokes?
When a pregnant woman smokes, she is absorbing into her bloodstream and therefore into her unborn baby all of the products that are in smoke. The two most dangerous to the developing fetus are carbon monoxide and nicotine. Carbon monoxide competes with oxygen in the bloodstream, and actually blood prefers carbon monoxide to oxygen. But the other thing is that nicotine causes a contraction of the blood vessels in the umbilical cord. So the baby's being deprived of the regular amount of blood it gets, but the blood it does get doesn't have as much oxygen. What happens? Babies are miscarried, they are born prematurely, and when they are born at term, they frequently are of low birth weight. If you want to give your youngster a good start in life, don't smoke while you're pregnant.
Would you give a cigarette to your unborn child? You do, every time you smoke while you're pregnant. Pregnant mothers, please, don't smoke.
Fact. Crib death occurs 2.5 times more often among babies of smoking mothers. Fact. Nicotine can be found in the breast milk of smoking mothers for hours after they smoke a cigarette. Fact. 50% of all women do not know the dangers of smoking while pregnant.
When I first tried my first cigarette, I was about 12 years old. I don't know, I started smoking every once in a while, like when I go to, clubs and stuff.
I started smoking because my friends had put together a club, and to be in the club you had to smoke. You had to know how to inhale. So I had to learn how to smoke fast if I wanted to be in the club, which I did. So I did.
The ones standing outside right now, like, just look at them. I mean, obviously they think they look cool. Because we don't really have, most of our friends don't smoke at all. So it kind of divides friends a lot, I think. Yeah. It's like that group of theirs, all friends, and they're all smoking, and we're friends, and we're sitting here, and,
Well, none of us smoke, so.
But it can't be a man.
He doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me.
I wish I could stop. I just have to one day quit cold turkey. I've tried a number of times and just am not successful.
Doesn't work.
So addicted. It's terrible. Wish I never started.
90% of people who smoke in this country started before the age of 19, but 60% of them started before the age of 14. And that is a very significant figure because the younger you are when you start to smoke, the deeper is the addiction and the harder it is to quit.
Quitting smoking now greatly reduces serious risks to your health. It says it right there.
It says smoking causes lung cancer, heart disease, emphysema, may complicate pregnancy.
How many guys like Aaron, you know, he gets quarters from his parents and just goes, that doesn't stop you.
Yeah, most people raid their dad's change drawer to get quarters so they can buy cigarettes. And there's a lot of places in
down the shore. They have like signs on it saying, now let's sell the minors, but
it says
they don't care.
When a youngster goes into a store where cigarettes can be purchased and wants to buy a pack, practically no storekeepers ask how old he is. And I think that's reprehensible. 37 states in this country do have laws that prohibit the sale of cigarettes to minors. They are not enforced. They should be.
Fact. It is estimated that the cigarette industry needs about 1,000 new smokers a day to replace those who die each day from smoking. Fact. The cigarette industry spends $7 million a day on advertising and promotion.
When I'm off stage, I like to stop and think, figure things out. That's why I smoke Viceroys. And when you think your way through all the filter claims, you come to the cigarette with a thinking man's filter and a smoking man's taste. Viceroy, the thinking man's filter and the smoking man's taste.
Fact. 9 out of 10 people with lung cancer will die from it. Fact. 85% of all cases of lung cancer and emphysema are caused by smoking.
It may be dangerous, but there are a lot of things that are dangerous to you. You walk in the street, you might get hit by a car. It doesn't mean that you're not supposed to walk in the street or drive a car.
I know it could happen to me, but I've only been smoking about maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't smoke heavily, so maybe in the future I'll stop.
Question. How great a risk is smoking for women?
I'm concerned that women are not as aware of the problems that they face from smoking. One thing that absolutely mystifies me and horrifies me is this. Women are terribly afraid of having breast cancer, and yet 2 years ago, lung cancer exceeded breast cancer in women as the leading cancer cause of death.
Question. What special problems do women who smoke face?
Well, the first thing that women should know is that if you smoke, it increases your wrinkles. Secondly, there is an increased incidence of osteoporosis in smokers. That's a sort of brittle bone syndrome that occurs in people over 45. There is evidence, too, that fertility is reduced in smoking women. And finally, the pill that one takes for birth control in a smoker has very high risks. If a woman is on the pill for birth control and smokes, she has 10 times the chance of developing a heart attack as a non-smoker and 20 times the chance of developing a stroke as compared to a non-smoker.
I'd walk a mile for a camel.
My car was broke down. I had to walk about 1.5 miles up to the store and get a pack after I scrounged for change because it was the day before payday.
The feeling I get when I'm craving it, nicotine, is like I'm walking down the street, I don't have my pack of cigarettes there, and it's all I want.
Every Monday, I think I make a decision to quit smoking. So far, no luck.
Question. Why is it so hard to quit smoking?
It's hard for any smoker to quit smoking because smoke contains nicotine from tobacco, and nicotine is a very addictive drug.
If there was a pill to stop smoking,
or something that would enable you to quit, I would take it.
I went through my stages with drugs and alcohol, and I don't know about heroin, but I've had my share of cocaine, and I'll tell you, I quit all of that stuff. I haven't had anything like that without urges in at least 6 months. And, I'm still not ready to quit cigarettes. I'm more scared of quitting cigarettes than I am quitting anything else. I'm afraid I might not be able to do it.
Question: how addictive is nicotine?
From the physiological and chemical point of view, nicotine is just as addictive as cocaine and heroin. And you have the same problems when you try to quit all three of those things. You have withdrawal symptoms for all three, and you have a tendency to relapse, even as long as a year after you thought that you were clean. And finally, the relapse rate is the same for nicotine as it is for heroin and for cocaine.
Fact: 3 out of 4 smokers who quit will start again within 1 year, the same relapse rate as for heroin and cocaine. Fact: most smokers have had to try quitting 5 times before they quit for good.
Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro country.
I started smoking when I was 17 years old. I thought it was the thing to do. I thought it was going to give me stature, make me a man. Well, I wish I had known then what I know now. I just have to stop and gasp for breath, and it feels like someone has their fingers down in my chest, cutting all the air passages off. After I rest a while, then it eases up and I go on.
Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro country.
Fact: smoking kills 350,000 Americans each year. Fact: cigarettes kill more people each year than AIDS, heroin, crack, cocaine, alcohol, car accidents, fire, and murder combined.
If you are a smoker, let me urge you to quit. I know it's hard, and it will be hard for you, but remember that there are 43 million ex-smokers out there, and you could be one of them. If you quit and relapse, quit again and again until it works for you. If you're a non-smoker, encourage a loved one, a friend or a relative to stop smoking. Remember, it will be hard for them to do that, and you've got to be sympathetic and you've got to be understanding, but you've got to be firm. And if you are a parent or a grandparent or someone who knows a young child, if you can get that youngster never to start smoking, you might very well save that person's life. Isn't that worth it? I'm C. Everett Koop, your Surgeon General, and thank you for not smoking.
When I'm a grown up, I won't smoke. When I grow up, I'll never smoke.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's bad for your lungs.